So the technique I'm going to show you today is called breaking down and building up. And when you have a problem, like 19 plus 27, an easy way to figure out what it adds to is by grouping up the tens and grouping up the ones. So we have 9 plus 7, which is 16. And then in the tens column, you'll have 2 and 1, which is 3, but plus another 1 from this equation. So you'll have a total of 4. So this is how I'm going to show you how to add and subtract easily. Over here, we have numbers, which you can cut out. Your teacher will give to you. And then we have a layout worksheet that you can easily put the numbers in place. So that way you can do this math problem. So our first problem is Charlotte has 15 rand. So you'll take the 1 and put it in the tens column. You'll take the 5 and put it in the ones column. Her grandmother gave her 80 rand for her birthday. So you'll take the 8, put it in the tens column, and the 0, put it in the ones column. How much rand does Charlotte have? So then you will add up the number of ones, so 5 plus 0 is 5. And then the number of tens, 1 plus 8, which is 9. So then you know that Charlotte has 95 rand for her answer. Let's move on to the next problem and put our little numbers back. Alright, our next problem has to do with books. Joel has 23 books. So we'll take the 2 and we'll take the 3. Samuel gave him 49 books to add to his collection. You will take the 4 and you will take the 9. How many books does Joel have now? So this one, you'll add up the ones column. So 3 plus 9, which is 12. So then you'd put the 1 on top, because the 1 will carry over, because you have 12 ones now, so that you would carry the 1 over. So then you have 2 plus 4, which is 6, plus the 1, which makes 7. So Joel now has 72 books. So that's building up, and that is all for addition problems. Now we're going to move on to some subtraction problems, which are a little bit more difficult. You have 68 apples in a large bucket. So here's the 6, and here's the 8. Your friend Jeff took 49 of them. So here we'll take the 4, here we'll take 9. Also, remember to put the sign of what problem you're doing in there. How many apples are left in your basket? So in this problem, you have to borrow, because you cannot subtract 9 from 8. You'll have to borrow. So what you'll have to do is take the 6 out and make it a 5, and borrow one of the 10s and put it into 10 ones. So now you have 18 minus 9. So your answer will be 9 in the ones column. For the number of tens, you'll have 5 minus 4, which is 1. So you have 19 apples left in your basket. And let's do one more problem, because subtraction's not always the easiest. Jack starts with 62 marbles. So you start with 62. He shares 33 with Rebeccah. How many marbles does Jack end with? So you're taking 62 marbles and subtracting 33 of them. So in this one, you'll also have to borrow 10 or Yeah, one set of 10. So, take the 6 out, make this 5, and move 10 of them over to the 1s. So now instead of 2 minus 3, you have 12 minus 3. So 12 minus 3 is 9. And then you'll have 5 minus 3, which is 2. So Jack will end up with 29 marbles. So now using this layout guide, your teacher is going to give you a worksheet so that you can practice this method a little bit further. And I wish you all the best of luck.
Hi there, my name is John Gurganus and I'm an education student at the University of Michigan Dearborn campus. Today I'm going to be teaching you the problem-solving technique of rounding numbers to the nearest 10 in word problems. This is a great technique to use when dealing with larger numbers in a problem and when estimating an answer. Estimation and rounding are also great when dealing with real-world examples. One of those examples is dealing with money. Say we have an item that costs 18 Rand. Well, we can round this number up to 20 Rand to give us an easier number to deal with. Rounding and estimation can also be used with time. Say you're telling someone what time it is. Instead of saying that it's 11:56 in the morning, we can say that it is nearly 12 o'clock in the afternoon. We can also use estimation and rounding with measurement. Instead of saying that we have an item that is 167 centimeters long, we can actually just say that item is about 170 centimeters. We can round 167 up to 170 centimeters. However, 170 centimeters is not the same as 167 centimeters. So you have to be clear. If you want an exact measurement, you have to use the original number. And also, please remember, and this is important, that rounding numbers in a problem generally will not give you an exact answer. We only use rounding to get an answer that is close, but that does not have to be exact. And I'm going to give you some word problems to practice this. Here's our first word problem. Joel has 23 books. Samuel gave him 49 books to add to his collection. About how many books does Joel have now? Well, to solve this question, we need to figure out the numbers in our problem. Joel has 23 books. Samuel gave him 49 books to add to his collection. So we know that this number, or this problem, is going to be an addition problem. 23 plus 49. We also know that we don't need to find the exact number to this problem, because it says right here, about how many books does Joel have now? We don't need to find the exact answer. We just need to find an answer that is close enough. And we are going to use rounding and estimation to figure that out. Let's get back our original numbers. 23 books plus 49 books equals what? To solve this, we are going to round the numbers 23 and 49 to their nearest 10. Let's take 23 first. When rounding a number, we need to identify the nearest tens to that number. For instance, the number 23, the nearest tens are 20 and 30. This is because 23 is between 20 and 30. Every number is going to have the same 10 digits in the ones place. Either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 0. When rounding numbers, we need to look at this ones place to figure out if the number is going to be closest to this nearest 10 or to this nearest 10. And we do this by looking at the numbers 1 through 4 and the numbers 5 through 9. The digit in the ones place for 23 is the number 3. You can see that number 3 is located between 1 and 4, where this arrow is pointing down. This means that you are going to round the number 23 down to the nearest 10, which is 20. This means that 23 rounded down to the nearest 10 is 20. So let's replace 23 with 20. Now let's do the number 49. Again, every number in their ones place will always have either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 0. The closest tens to 49 are 50 and 40. A simple way of figuring out the nearest 10 is looking at the tens place. We have the number 4 here in 49 in the tens place. This means that the lowest 10 is going to be 40. To figure out the highest 10, we just need to add 1 to this tens place and then put a 0 on the end. So highest 10 to 49 is 50. So let's draw our arrows again. Identify our ones place. We have the number 9. We can see that 9 is located between 5 and 9 in this arrow, meaning it's going up. So when rounding to the nearest 10, we have to round 49 up to 50. So let's replace 49 with 50 in our problem. We get 20 plus 50 equals what? Let's go back to our original problem. Joel has 23 books. Samuel gave him 49 books to add to his collection. About how many books does Joel have now? Well, we just got our new rounded numbers, so let's put them in. 20 books plus 50 books equals what? This problem is a lot easier than solving this problem. So what is the answer to 20 plus 50? Well, it's 70. 2 plus 5 is 7, and then the 0 in common, 70. So about how many books does Joel have now? He has about 70 books. Remember, we're not solving the exact number of books that Joel has. We're only finding an estimate. We only want to know about how many books he has. And in this problem, Joel has about 70 books. Let's try another word problem. You have 68 apples in a basket. Your friend Jeff took 49 of them. About how many apples are left? Let's identify our numbers. We have 68 and 49. Your friend Jeff took 49 of them. This means that he took them away. So we have a subtraction problem. So our problem is 68 minus 49. What does that equal? Well, let's use rounding and estimation to find that answer out. Let's take our first number, 68. Identify the ones place, 8. In our earlier problem, we saw that any number ending in a 5 or to 9, we're going to round up to the nearest place. Any number we found that had ended in the number 1 or 4, we round down to the nearest tens. There's a simple way to remember this, and how I was always taught was that if the number ends in 1 through 4, round down to the floor. If a number ends in 5 through 9, rounding up to the ceiling is fine. This number ends in an 8. 8 is between 5 and 9, so that means you are going to round up to the nearest 10, which is 70. Let's take the next number, 49. This number ends in the number 9. That is also between numbers 5 through 9, meaning you're going to round up to the nearest 10, which in this case is 50. So our new problem is going to be 70 minus 50. Again, this is a lot easier to solve than this number, or this problem. So 70 minus 50 equals what? Well, 7 minus 5 equals 2, and then they have 1 0 in common. So 70 minus 50 equals 20. So, about how many apples are left? About 20 apples. The question isn't asking us to solve the exact number of apples, but just about how many apples are left, which is 20 apples. Let's do one more problem. Jack starts with 62 marbles. He shares 33 marbles with Becky. How many marbles does Jack end with? Let's look at our numbers. We have 62 and 33. Jack started out with 62 marbles, and he shares 33 marbles with Becky, meaning he took away 33 from 62 to give to Becky. So this is a subtraction problem. How many marbles does Jack end with? Uh-oh. This problem is asking us how many marbles does Jack end with. That means they want an exact number. So, we have to solve this problem and find the exact answer. However, we can use rounding and estimation to find an answer close enough to this exact answer to actually help us solve this problem. So let's use our rounding technique. We have 62, which ends in a 2. 1 through 4, round down to the floor. 5 through 9, rounding up to the ceiling is fine. 2 is between 1 and 4. This means we round down to the nearest 10, which is 60. Our next number is 33. Again, this number ends in a digit that is between 1 and 4. So again, we round down to the number 30. So our new problem is 60 minus 30. This gives us the number 30. 6 minus 3 is 3, and 1 0 in common. 30. This does not solve our problem of how many marbles does Jack end with. This only solves us if the question asks about how many marbles does Jack end with. He would end with about 30 marbles. So why did we do this? Again, we did this so we can find an answer close enough to the original answer. Let's solve our original problem. 62 minus 33. We're going to have to do some carrying and borrowing. 12 minus 3 is 9. 5 minus 3 is 2. Our answer is going to be 29 marbles. You can see that our estimated answer of 30 marbles is pretty darn close to 29. This means that our exact answer is correct. We used estimation to help us in solving this problem by saying that Jack would end up with about 30 marbles, but he exactly ends up with 29 marbles. So we're pretty close. We know that this answer is correct because of how close we are to this. When rounding a number, we first need to identify the number in the ones place. If the number ends in a 1, 2, 3, or 4, we round down. And when a number ends in 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we round up. And we're rounding up to the nearest 10. The next step is to change the original number in the word problem to the much easier rounded number. For example, if one had 23 cards, we would round down to 20 cards. If we had 58 pens, we would round up to 60 pens. And the last step is to solve the problem with the new rounded numbers to get the estimated answer. And that, folks, is how we round to the nearest 10.
To solve a problem using a number line, First, we need to make a number line using the numbers shown in the problem. First, we're going to start with the first number we're adding, 15. So we go from 0 to 15. Then, we take the second number of the problem and we go over 80 spots on the number line. The number you end up on is the correct answer. Charlotte has 95 rand. Another one. So Joel has 23 bucks. So we go from 0 to 23 for the first number, and then Samuel gave him 49 more. So we move over 49 spaces, and we end up at 72. That means that Joel now has 72 books. Another way to use a number line. If you start off with 68 apples, you would go from 0 to 68. And then if Jeff took half, you would go backwards from 68 to the very middle, which ends at 34. So that means that you have 34 apples left.